Why do smart people never fight back directly? Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a situation where someone insulted you, challenged you, or tried to make you angry, and your first reaction was to defend yourself or argue back? Most of us have. It's natural. But here's the problem. When you fight back directly, you give your opponent exactly what they want: your energy, your emotion, your attention. Smart people, truly smart people, understand that power doesn't come from reaction. It comes from control. In this episode, we're going to explore how to stay calm, stay smart, and even outsmart the people who try to bring you down without fighting, shouting, or losing your cool. And along the way, you'll learn some incredibly powerful English expressions, phrases, and mindset tricks to help you speak, think, and act more confidently in English. So are you ready to become unshakable? What will I learn in this episode? By the end of this episode, you'll know how to handle difficult people with confidence and calm. You'll learn the art of subtle power, how to control a situation without ever raising your voice. You'll hear about real examples, powerful mindsets, and clever ways to respond when people try to manipulate, criticize, or provoke you. But this isn't just a lesson in life. It's also a lesson in language. We'll use natural English throughout this episode. So while you're learning how to stay cool in a heated moment, you're also practicing how to understand and use English like a native speaker. It's all about growth, personal growth and language growth. And this episode is full of both. Let's begin. Why do people try to make us angry? Here's something most people don't realize. When someone tries to make you angry, it's usually not about you, it's about them. Maybe they feel insecure, maybe they want control, or maybe they're just looking for attention. The truth is, people who try to push your buttons often feel powerless in some part of their own life, so when they make you react, they feel powerful, even for just a moment. That's why staying calm is such a strong move. It flips the game. It puts the power back in your hands. And in English, there are some beautiful expressions for this, like "don't take the bait" or "rise above it." You'll hear these kinds of phrases often in confident, calm conversations. And we'll be using more like this as we continue. What happens when we fight back emotionally? Now let's talk about what happens when we give in to anger or frustration. When someone insults us and we snap back, it might feel satisfying for a moment. But what have we actually done? We've lost control. We've stepped into their trap. It's like they threw a rope and we grabbed it. Emotionally, we're now tied to them. We argue, we defend, we explain. And we forget that we don't have to. Here's a better way. Pause. Breathe. Let them talk and don't give them what they want. In English, we sometimes say, "kill them with kindness," or "take the high road." These ideas come from a deep understanding that silence, calm, and control are more powerful than any angry words. Can silence be more powerful than words? Absolutely. Silence can be louder than shouting. Imagine this. Someone insults you in a group of people. Everyone's watching, waiting to see what you'll do. And instead of reacting, you smile slightly, say nothing, and let the moment pass. That silence, that calm reaction, it's powerful. It says, "I'm not affected. I'm above this." In English, we say, "silence speaks volumes." It's a phrase that means your silence says more than words ever could. Learning to use silence is a skill. And for English learners, it's also a useful trick. You don't always have to respond quickly. Take a moment, think, let silence be your strength. What does it really mean to outsmart someone? To outsmart someone isn't about winning an argument. It's about seeing the bigger picture. Outsmarting means staying 3 steps ahead. It means understanding their game and refusing to play it. In English, you might hear someone say, "I saw right through them." That means they understood the person's real motives. Outsmarting also means using emotional intelligence, choosing your words, your silence, your actions in a way that protects your peace and sometimes surprises your opponent. We're not talking about manipulation. We're talking about awareness, deep, clear awareness. This episode is all about building that kind of power. How can staying calm make you look stronger? When you stay calm in a stressful or tense situation, people notice. They see that you're not easily shaken. You become the steady person in the room, and that kind of energy is magnetic. People respect it. It shows emotional maturity. It shows strength. In English, you might hear someone say, "They kept their cool," or "they didn't flinch." These are compliments. They mean you stayed in control even when others didn't. Staying calm isn't weakness. It's strength, disguised as peace. And it's something every confident English speaker learns to do. Not just in language, but in life. How do powerful people use language differently? Powerful people often speak less, but when they do speak, every word matters. Their words are clear, calm, and direct. No shouting, no over-explaining, just calm, confident speech. Think of the phrase, "say less, mean more." It's a useful idea in both life and language. When you speak with purpose, people listen. And if you're learning English, this is something you can practice: short, clear sentences, confident tone, choosing silence when it's more powerful than speech. These are advanced skills, and by the end of this episode, you'll start to feel them becoming part of your own speaking style. What's the difference between reacting and responding? Reacting is quick. It's emotional. It's automatic. Someone says something rude and boom, you react. But responding is different. It's thoughtful. It's controlled. You take a moment, you breathe, and then, maybe, you speak. Or maybe you don't. That small space between stimulus and response is where your power lives. In English, we sometimes say, "Don't let them rent space in your head." It means don't let someone control your thoughts or feelings. When you respond instead of react, you stay in control of yourself. And that's something that truly smart, emotionally aware people practice every day. Why is it better to fool someone than to fight them? Now, this might sound strange, but sometimes the smartest thing you can do is let them think they've won. You don't fight. You don't argue. You smile, you agree politely, and you move on. But inside, you're 10 steps ahead, you're calm, you're clear, and you've already decided how to move forward without drama. This is what it means to fool someone in a wise way, not to trick them in a cruel way, but to play the long game. You protect your peace, you protect your energy, and they never even see it coming. In English, you might hear, "play dumb to stay smart." It's an old phrase, but it carries deep wisdom. We'll explore this more in the next parts. Why do some people never lose control and still win? Have you ever seen someone stay totally calm while someone else is shouting or insulting them? And somehow, they win the situation. They come out looking smarter, stronger, and more respected. Why does that happen? Here's the truth. When you don't lose control, you take control. Most people expect a fight. If someone says something rude or unfair, the normal reaction is to get angry, shout back, or defend yourself emotionally. But when you stay calm, when you don't give them what they expect, you surprise them. You make them uncomfortable in a different way. You hold the power. You see, smart people know that emotions are a tool. They use them carefully. Staying quiet or smiling at the right time can be much more powerful than arguing. It makes the other person feel unsure. And when they feel unsure, you gain space. Space to think, to act, and to win. Can silence be a strategy? Yes. Silence isn't just the absence of speaking. It's a message, it's a strategy, and it's powerful. Let's say someone says something mean to you, maybe in front of other people. You feel your heart racing. You want to say something to fight back, but instead, you pause. You take a breath. You say nothing, or maybe you just raise an eyebrow. What happens? Often the person who attacked you starts to feel uncomfortable. They expected drama. They expected you to react, but now they're unsure. Did you ignore them because they're not worth it? Did you see through their game? Did you win just by not reacting? Silence gives you time. It gives you space. And most importantly, it makes people listen harder. In communication, silence is like highlighting something in bright yellow. It creates tension. And tension, when used well, can be incredibly persuasive. What happens when you play the long game? Let's talk about the long game. This means thinking ahead, not just reacting to what's happening now, but focusing on what you want in the end. Outsmarting someone doesn't always mean winning today. Sometimes it means letting someone believe they've won. For now. It means choosing your moment carefully. It means watching, listening, learning, and waiting until the time is right. Imagine this. Someone insults you at work. You could respond immediately and start an argument, but instead you stay polite, you stay helpful. And over time, other people start to notice who's actually respectful and who's not. You build your reputation, you stay professional, and in the long game, people trust you more. You win opportunities. That person, they just look petty. That's how the long game works. It's not loud, it's not fast, but it's effective. What does it mean to disarm someone without fighting? To disarm someone means to take away their weapon. But in conversation, their weapon is usually anger, sarcasm, or criticism. So how do you take that away? You respond in a way they didn't expect. Let's say someone says, "Wow, that's a dumb idea." You could say, "Oh, really? What's your brilliant idea then?" That's fighting. That's giving them what they want. But imagine saying, "Maybe it sounds that way, but here's why I suggested it." Or even, "Thanks for the honesty. I'd love to hear your take." Now you are in control. You've disarmed the comment. You didn't attack back. You flipped the energy. This approach shocks people. It stops them from continuing the fight. And it shows that you're not easily shaken. You become someone others respect, not because you're the loudest, but because you're the most thoughtful. How can empathy be a secret weapon? Empathy. Really? Isn't that soft? Kind of weak? Actually, no. Empathy is one of the strongest tools you can use, especially when someone is trying to be aggressive or difficult. When you understand why someone is acting a certain way, you stop reacting emotionally. You start thinking like a strategist. Maybe they're jealous. Maybe they're stressed. Maybe they want attention. If you can see why they're doing what they're doing, you don't fall into their trap. For example, Someone criticizes you in public. You feel attacked. But instead of getting defensive, you calmly say, "It sounds like you have some concerns. I'd love to hear more later." That's empathy plus strategy. You acknowledge their emotion, but you don't reward the drama. You stay professional. You turn the situation around. And people notice that, especially in workplaces, relationships, and group situations. This ability builds your power. Why do people expect you to react instantly? We live in a fast world. People expect quick replies, quick answers, quick emotions. So when you slow down, when you pause, people don't know what to do. And that gives you the advantage. Think about it. When someone says something hurtful, they expect your face to change. They expect you to snap back. But if you stop, if you stay calm and thoughtful, it creates space. It confuses them. And in that moment, you shift the power. You don't have to say anything wise or clever. Sometimes just asking, "Why do you say that?" is enough. It puts the pressure back on them. It forces them to explain. And many people aren't ready for that. They just wanted a reaction, not a real conversation. So remember this: the slower you respond, the more in control you are. Can humor be a form of defense? Absolutely. Humor is one of the smartest ways to protect yourself, and even to win. Now, this doesn't mean making jokes all the time. It means using lightness to defuse a tense situation. When someone tries to insult you or make you look small, a simple, confident smile or a playful comment can completely change the energy. For example, someone says, "You always make mistakes." You smile and say, "I try to keep things exciting." That little joke shows confidence. You're not pretending they're right, but you're not fighting either. You're showing that their comment didn't hurt you. You're showing strength. Humor is powerful because it creates connection. It lowers the temperature. And when used with timing, it can turn enemies into allies. What happens when you stop trying to win? This one might surprise you. Sometimes the best way to win is to stop trying to win. When you focus on control, ego, or being right, you become reactive. You want to prove something. But when you let go of that need, you become more dangerous. In a good way, you listen better. You ask better questions. You surprise people with your calm. And instead of trying to win arguments, you win respect. It's like in martial arts. The master doesn't use force. They use timing, balance, and flow. And that's what great communicators do too. They don't fight every battle. They move with the situation. They choose when to speak, when to wait, and when to walk away. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. Why is emotional intelligence the real superpower? We talk a lot about intelligence, logic, memory, analysis. But emotional intelligence? That's the hidden strength behind almost every great leader, speaker, and negotiator. It's about knowing your own emotions and managing them, but also about reading other people's emotions, feeling the mood, understanding the energy in the room. When you have emotional intelligence, you don't just speak, you connect. You don't just argue, you influence. You can make someone feel seen, understood, or surprised without saying much at all. This superpower helps you stay calm when others are losing control. It helps you move people, not with force, but with presence. That's how you truly outsmart others, not by fighting, but by understanding them more than they understand themselves. So, how do you outsmart anyone without fighting? Let's bring it all together. Outsmarting others isn't about tricks or games. It's about control of yourself, of your words, of your presence. You don't fight back the way they expect. You stay calm. You stay clear. You understand the situation better than they do, and you use silence, empathy, humor, or simply patience. You don't need to win every small moment. You're thinking long-term. You're not here to react. You're here to influence, and that means learning to respond, not explode. The best part? This skill isn't just for arguments. It helps in relationships, business, family, and everyday life. It helps you become someone who is unshakable, someone who makes smart moves, not emotional ones. And that's how you win, without ever looking like you're trying to.